If you were to ask me what I like to do with my time, I would say I like to be efficient with it, and I watch 4 things at once. No. The mirage of multitasking is nothing but a mirage. It tells us, yeah, if we do 2 things at once, maybe it will be better for us because we'll be more efficient with the time. We could cook, and at the same time that we are cooking, we could put a video on the side. Now, while it's not necessarily all bad, the place that it leads you to isn't good either. Because where do you draw the line? And then you go to the toilet, or you brush your teeth and you're watching something, and then you're doing something else while you're watching something, or you're listening to something. And you're going to the gym, and while you're lifting, you're listening to something, and on your rest, look, it doesn't end. You start to give yourself some leeway, and then you just don't stop. You may think, well, what is the problem with that? You know, yes, I am doing something all the time, but hey, I'm doing something all the time. I'm never wasting time. Is that right? In the past, people knew off by heart their parents' number, their own number, their friends, their sisters, their siblings, and their lovers, whatever, their boss, everyone's number, and their credit card numbers, or whatever, so many different numbers. They knew them off by heart. And what about now? How many numbers do you know? I'll come forward first. I know my own phone number. Phone numbers, that's it. I don't know anybody else's phone number. I know my credit card and stuff, of course, but I don't know anybody else's thing. Because why should I, you may say? You can just leave it online or record it, and you don't have to remember it. Yeah, sure, and you can do that with everything. And you can just leave your responsibility away to the machine. And when it comes down to it, what do you know? What do you remember? What information do you retain? If you are to engage in a debate, what do you know off by heart? The point I'm trying to make is that this extends further than just numbers. Our ability to retain information is worse than before. Now, you go to school and you learn some things. Do you learn them? No, you forget them. You have been told about them, and then you forget about them. If you are on your 20s like me, how many things do you remember from school? I'll come forward again, not many. Because back then was a time of consumption. I would get back from school, I'd watch like so much anime, and I'd do like push-ups, whatever. I'd always be busy. The problem with always being busy is that you don't have any rest time. Because yes, you go to sleep and you recompose, right? Wrong. You actually don't sleep properly, your brain's not completely shut off because it's processing all of the information. But what if we actually took some words of wisdom and said, less is more? Because indeed, less is more. And look at what people are doing to you. They're giving you explosions in the videos. They're giving you cool transitions and fast motion. They're speaking very quickly. I do this sometimes. The problem with that is you are not unplugged as per se for a single moment. So your brain is like a machine that you're exploiting to work. And at some point, it's going to overheat. And it's going to start melting. But I argue that you could keep your mind evergreen if you said, all right, I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to turn it off. I'm not going to leave it on. It's like if you were when you use your phone, for example, you don't just leave it on and then say, yeah, I'm going to leave it on the screen and then just let it say whatever it wants, and I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm going to do whatever. No, you turn it off because it consumes the energy and maybe it gets really hot. Or likewise, you may be telling yourself, oh, I'm being efficient. I am multitasking because I am listening to this podcast as I am cooking and doing house chores. But how present are you in either of these activities? Are you 50% present in the podcast and 50% present in the house chores? Maybe you're more of an 80-20 and you're only focused on the podcast, and therefore you're actually doing the house chores and you're leaving a mess everywhere because you're not concentrated on it. Or maybe you are doing the opposite and you're hardly hearing anything that the podcast is saying. Or perhaps even worse, perhaps in trying to do both activities, in chasing 2 rabbits, you're catching neither of them. And both of your jobs, or the job of cleaning and then listening, are both mediocre, and you're doing neither of them correctly. And you're taking more time than if you finished one and did it perfectly. At the start of the video I showed you, dual screen. I don't know what it was. I couldn't even find shorts. I have shorts on one video and then TikTok on the other. On the TikTok one, it was quite easy because I just made a new account and whatever. But on the shorts one, or from my YouTube account, I couldn't find the shorts. I think it's because I disabled it and I blocked it, and It took me like 10 minutes before I started recording the video to actually get the screen, the double screen that I wanted, because I had to flick for ages as well, because I've trained my surrounding to be better than that. I remember things, I like to think, better than an average person, and that is because I've trained my brain to not consume content. For example, there's a YouTuber called Hamza, and I spoke about him about a recent video, and it made me want to check out his channel to see what he was up to. And he reverted to a type of content that I really enjoyed, where it's just plain speaking, right? Sometimes he messes up as another person that makes content. Seeing him say something like, what you need to do, right? It's quite funny because I don't know if he forgot or he chose not to, but he didn't cut it out. And I thought that was amazing. The point is, that will be the type of content that I will consume. Or maybe if I'm having dinner, right, and I'm just eating and enjoying my evening, then I might multitask. And to be honest, I know I said the example with cooking, but likewise, if I am making a dish that I have made 1,000 times, then I can do it. If it's a new dish, of course not. So now you may be asking, what's the right and the wrong thing? Like, where can I draw the line? On things that you have done 100 times over, you may be able to do it subconsciously. However, you won't get better at doing those things if you are just on a automatic level. So what I mean by this is, let's say you have lifted dumbbells 100 times over. I have. Well, you may say, alright, I'll listen to some music as I do it. Cool, yeah. Or maybe some podcasts rather than music, because music's more like ambient, unless it's got lyrics. Anyway, so you start to listen to a podcast and you're lifting these things. Okay, you are focusing on the words and you're focusing on, going up, having a bit of tension and all of that. However, you start getting to your last strings and now it requires more conscious effort to lift it off. You may choose one of two routes. Route 1, you put them down and you don't follow up, you follow through with your set and go to the max, to where you give up, your muscle gives up. Or 2, you say, okay, I'm gonna focus on, lifting it up and carrying on with a squeeze, and you're grunting and stuff, and then you find yourself having to rewind like 3 minutes because you have no idea what they just said in the podcast. So now there's an interesting phrase you could keep in mind, which is, the less we consume, the more we retain. How can that be? If we're consuming less information, how can we retain more information? Well, this is a matter of quality over quantity in the state of the mind. And as I'm saying these words, it's come to me actually, something to do with psychology. I was studying it when I was younger. Let's see if I've retained this information. It had to do with short-term memory and long-term memory, and about how we have a certain number for things that we can actually hold. I think for the short-term memory, it was like from 1 to 7. Could be wrong. And then long-term memory, I don't know. The point is that beyond these numbers, it is very unlikely that you will remember things unless you have a super brain. But if you are wasting it on quadruple screens, attention span everywhere. It will be better for you to use that great brain of yours to achieve the thing that you want to achieve. So now, what's the point of this video? What am I trying to say? Well, I've said plenty already, and I hope that you would retain some of it. Essentially, what I'm saying is, if you have things you want to actually learn to improve, be it your charisma skills, be it your social skills is charisma skills, your business skills, any type of ability. Say, alright, I'm going to put some time aside and I'm going to use that time for that activity. Build a block, for example. You can do it for your own way, but this is an example you could take. Build a block in your routine, and in that routine, you're going to turn off, put on airplane mode all your phones, you're going to put them to the side, and you're going to do that one thing. You're not eating, you're not doing push-ups in between, whatever. No, you're gonna say, alright, 40 minutes, I'm going to read this. You may have a rotten brain right now. It's not an insult or anything. And it may be that you make no progress. You start doing that, the blocks, and you make no progress because your attention is all over the place. And in those 40 minutes, yes, you're trying to concentrate, but you can't. Well, don't give up. If you give up, you're just going to go back to doing nothing anyway. Instead, realize what's happening. What is happening is that you are currently corrupted in the mind. You need to heal yourself. You need to get rid of the condition you have conditioned yourself to. and you need to start adopting better habits of better attention span. Watching a video like this with less explosions, less whatever, will be better reminders for you than insert YouTuber you may watch. As always, the things that I preach about, I do. Otherwise, I shut the hell up. So what I've been starting to do, I'm trying to learn Arabic. So as my fifth language that I am learning, I had been neglecting it, quite mediocre in my approach to learning. And what I've been doing is, I need to focus on this, I need to focus on that, and there was a million obstacles and I never set a frame aside. Well, now I've been setting a time frame aside, half hour. This is little, but you'll keep getting better. On the which I say, okay, in this half hour, I'm going to do this exercise. I get really specific. So I either listen to a video on Monday, or then on Tuesday I write some sentences from Duolingo, I do a few lessons, and then on Wednesday, for example, I could have a bit of a rest day and say, instead of half hour, I'll do 1 hour and a half, and I'll be watching as I watch an Arabic show, right? And I'm consuming that thing, but in a much more healthy state. I don't go, let's say you want to take advice from Andrew Tate. You don't go to Andrew Tate Shorts and then watch Andrew Tate, the fucking GTA course driving or the Subway Surfers just buzzing you out, and you'd be like, oh wow, look at this. Oh, is he going to land it or not? Oh, what did Andrew say? It's like, come on, man. You're better than this. You want to be better than this. So fix it. Strive to be 1% better every day. Add me on Discord. Much love. Whenever you hear a snapping of the fingers, make sure that you fix your posture and you take deep breaths into your diaphragm from your nose. Enjoy the video.